Okay, let's talk about Okada. That's a weird way to start this video. There were some rumors this week that maybe, just maybe, he is going to be heading to WWE, but before he goes to the main roster, he shall go through NXT, cue Meltdown. So all I want to say is, did you ever for a second consider that maybe Okada is okay with this? I mean, it is the flipping Rainmaker, and I'm sure when he sits down to do contract negotiations, he has the power to be able to go, no, I don't really want to do that, and if you are going to make me do that, well, I'll go elsewhere. Then WWE is allowed to go, well, we really want you to do this, and they shake hands and they move on. I mean, they are adults. Now, I personally do think he will go to AEW over WWE, but one, that'd be super cool. Two, NXT is great, so be nice. And three, go and watch the AJ Styles interview where a year after he debuted for the WWE, he was like, man, it would have been good to have spent a couple of months in NXT to learn how WWE does stuff, because when I got here, well, it was just a little bit overwhelming. I mean, not everything has to be the world's worst problem. For goodness sake, everybody calm down. Including me. Now let's up those downs. Because our first match was a semi-final for the Dusty Cup. I tell you, we have an amazing tag team on our hands. Well, actually we have two, because it was Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin taking on Nathan Frazer and Axiom. And they just kind of looked at each other. And one side was like, well, we represent this side of professional wrestling. And the other side was like, well, we like this style of professional wrestling. And they just merged it into one wonderful ball of love. Nathan and Ax were on top here as well to begin with, as they just flew around the place. And of course, they did stereo dives. 2024 wrestling, that's what you must do. As ever though, they tried to high fly one time too many, so Corbin just caught Axiom and threw him into Alan the announce table when Breakker felt left out, so he just totally wrecked Frazer. And I tell you, they have this intensity to them, they make me want to watch. And then switched to a beatdown as the Wild Dogs, the Lone Dogs, whatever their flub Bron Breakker wanted them to be called, went on the offensive. When I think Axiom got bored of that because he did this mad reversal into a cutter, which was damn impressive, and he got the hot tag. Now there's few better at this than Nathan Frazer, who too just hit his go button, and at one point he did a crossbody onto everyone, when of course they came together and they did double Splash of the Frogs. I was like, how are you so fast? It doesn't make any sense. Breakker was so upset with this though, he powerbombed one into the other when Baron Corbin was breaking up 1-2 oohs, and this happened again when the Flippy Dippy Doodah team did a Phoenix Splash Spanish Fly combo. Once again, he got broken up. By that point, they must be like, what are we meant to do? And then from nowhere, smash Axiom with the End of Days. And just when he was going to do the same to Frazer, he booted out of it when he turned around and honestly had the soul speared out of him. It's one of the best damn spears I've seen in ages. 1, 2, 3, we got a couple of finalists. They also keep hinting that maybe we're going to call Baron and Bron the a-holes, so my lawyer will absolutely be in touch. But I now think we should probably put these guys on the main roster as a team, and they can feud down the line. Honestly, they really do have something, and Nathan Frazer and Axiom just make no sense. They are the epitome of 2 + 2 = potato. This is getting a damn solid up. For some reason, Ilya Dragunov and Josh Briggs then got into it, I suppose because Josh has realised that he is in a WWE environment. So if you want a championship, you just find the champion, you go geese title shot. Trick Williams overheard this though, so he must be stalking Ilya Dragunov when he got into it with Josh Briggs, and now later, they are gonna have a match. I was like, damn, that escalated quickly. Dragunov also promised that he will be watching later, so they're all stalking the other one. They all just need to calm down. We also learned that Wren Sinclair is going to be making her debut later, which is when Fallon Henley walked in, because she could tell that Wren was a little bit nervous, and she was like, oh, you're gonna do great. I was like, isn't that nice? It also led into a wonderful segment, because if you can believe it, William Regal, probably for just 1 week, was back on NXT TV. Oodalali. Now this was to give the rub to none other than Eva Rain, because they came out of Shawn Michaels' offices, and that's right, we have made it official, and the brand new GM of the brand, obviously, is Eva Rain. Wouldn't be William Regal, that would be a massive troll. I do like this though, because that's what developmental should be all about. It shouldn't just be wrestling, wrestling, wrestling. There are many facets to sports entertainment. So let us see how she gets on. When it turned out that Fallon Henley is a terrible motivational speaker, because Wren Sinclair lost. Damn. Now she was facing Lash Legend, which meant she was screwed right off the bat, because she came out with the metaphor, and as the name suggests, this meant it was 4-on-1. Now I did like this because we tied it into the Battle Royal from last week, because those two had got into it, and at one point, even though Jakara Jackson was trying to get involved, she was like trying to pull Lash so she could escape from the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. Wren was like, not only am I going to hit you with that roll-up here, but I'm going to do it again, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again, but you can tell that she's at the start of her wrestling career. None of these worked. I also want to point out that Sinclair's ring gear is totally goated. It's absolutely wild, and I love it, but eventually this metaphor casting of distraction became too much. Wren had to deal with them. When she turned around, she got hit with that choke slam spine buster thingy. Lash legend got the 3. The whole group were also going to attack Sinclair after this when Fallon ran out to make the save, and I was like, Henley, you must have been watching this from backstage. Didn't you think to yourself, well, there are a lot of metaphor members out there, and I do watch wrestling, maybe I'll go out now rather than just wait and see. Still, this was all right. It won't last long in the memory, but we definitely have something with Sinclair. So if we do give her a proper push, she is going to do damn well. This was fine. DJack was then mad, because he's always mad. He even got mad online about a Carter this week. Dude just needs to relax a little bit. He was also facing Joe Gacy because he got mad at him last week. But I do just want to point out the way that DJack has reinvented himself after he had to be in flipping retribution should probably be given a prize. So when he does walk to the ring, you kind of look at him like, dude is totally unhinged. We didn't even get to this match though, because instantly Joe Gacy smacked him with a chair, which is when DJack was like, nobody hits me with a sitting device, so he threw him through a wall. I was like, wow. It's been a long time since I've seen that. Clearly Joe must have enjoyed that though, because he came crawling out with this massive smile on his face. Although this was a terrible plan, because DJack was like, alright, well, I'll just kill you again. And he threw him through Alan the announce table. Whoops. I think his new gimmick must be that he is the Undertaker though, because he will not die. And eventually he applied a sleeper to DJack until all the officials came out and they tried to break him up. That was like trying to separate an elephant and a rhinoceros. You ain't gonna be able to do it. So essentially this never got going, but it did tell us a couple of things. 1, DJack has anger management issues. And 2, Joe Gacy is really into being beaten up. So I guess we'll probably do it again at Vengeance Day, but this time with a crazy stipulation. But in terms of a brawl, I thought it was really fun. Ariana Grace was then practicing over-the-top speeches when Elektra Lopez bust in there, and as she would do throughout the show, was like, have you seen her? Now, she was obviously referring to Lola Vice, because they too had fallen out in the Royal Rumble, or the Battle Royal, and Ariana, without missing a beat, just went, here I am. Once again, this character is so good, and when you are talking about brands, I don't think anybody has better personalities than NXT. Von Wagner was then training for his big Heritage Cup match, and he was with Robert Stone and the Robert Stone family, so they're getting really close. Well, we went to sort out another feud. Now, this was very interesting because it was Trey Bearhill taking on Lexus King. Let's not forget the reason Trey wasn't in the men's breakout tournament is because King had whooped his ass. For some reason, NXT management took him out the thing. So Eva Rain, I hope you're listening to this. Don't do that again. Now, I do think that NXT and WWE knows they have something with Bearhill, mostly because he's massive. And also, it's like he's been transported from 1986. Like, he just does chops, and he does strikes, and he does slams, and he just stomps around the place. But you can't help but look at him, because he's like an absolute monster. I mean, in many ways, he kind of feels like a core from WWE 2K24 or 23. We'll get 24 soon, so sign me up. But this was mostly a showcase for Lexus King, because he took this beating, he fought back, he hit the coronation, and he just beat him. I don't want to say it was anticlimactic, but you could tell what we were trying to do. So I kind of feel like this one is done because there wasn't too many shenanigans. And maybe Lexus now goes after the North American title? I don't know. But once again, he too is another guy that has entered the NXT system and is doing very well for himself. So I guess we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, this was another one. It was totally fine. Carmella Hayes was then trying to tell Trick Williams that Ilya Dragunov was going to screw him over earlier. That's like, Carmella, it's a little bit rich coming from you. When we had yet more sports entertainment. Once again, really, if you want to go to the home of sports entertainment, you go to NXT. That is because it was time for the Supernova sessions as Oro Mensah and Noam Dar. We're going to talk to Lola Vice. And I tell you, this Lola, she's really full of herself. Now, they wanted to know if it was true that her and Elektra Lopez had broken up, because once again, as I've already told you, they fell out in the Battle Royal. So it is a massive round of applause to Shawn Michaels. Sometimes you get Battle Royals, and the only focus is the winners, but here, man, it ran deep. Now, Vice did lose it a little bit, but she made the grand error of saying Elektra's name too many times, which is wrestling rule number 8, because eventually she walked to the ring. Now, fair play to her too, because she went totally nuts. Like, listen to me, Lola Vice, I've been around you for a long time, and you act all nicey nice, but you're a massive fraud and a liar. She also only got to NXT by shaking her ass on Instagram, and also, you're a bitch. I was like, sheesh. Lopez has also sacrificed way more than her, and that's why next week they are gonna have a match. And I tell you, if we can capitalize on this, Well, my word, we have something with Elektra Lopez. They started to brawl because that's the only way you're allowed to end a talk show within the WWE world. But actually, this was far better than I was expecting it to. And once again, we have two potential candidates that could fly to the moon. What? So this really was a welcome surprise, and I tell you this, if we had got her to do this 6 months ago, it probably wouldn't have been as good. So once again, the evolution is working. I'm gonna give it an up. The D'Angelo family were then in their restaurant when OTM just ran in and they messed the whole thing up. And then they left. And I was like, that's been your plan? That's what you thought about doing for 7 days? Although I can't say anything because the D'Angelos, well, man, they were really mad. You gotta see. What followed, though, was the saddest thing that I've ever seen in professional wrestling, because Chase U may be dead. Nuts. Because we saw a bunch of people clearing out the school because they have run out of money. As Andre Chase kind of stared off into the distance, you could see it in his eyes. What have I done? I tell you what you've done. You gambled away all the money. I mean, even the flipping podium was taken away, and next week we are going to get a statement on this, and I'm sure somebody is going to come in and save the school, which will ultimately end in another program. But I just can't help it. It's so over the top, and it's a little bit like a soap opera. But they know this. They're doing it with a wink wink and a nudge nudge. I just think it's absolutely terrific stuff. And nobody else is really doing it, so they should definitely double down. When Dragon Lee was taking on SCRYPTS, why? Now, this was absolutely random. I will say they were having a pretty good match when it turned out the only reason we were doing this is because it was going to tie into an angle. As soon as Tony D and Stacks realized that Lucian Price and Bronco Lima were at ringside, they ran out there to kick their ass. When we also had Adriana Rizzo, who just went flying into Jada Parker. SCRYPTS was so freaked out what was going on, he totally forgot he was in a match, Operation Dragon, and he was done. I was like, SCRYPTS, you really should have been more aware. Obafemi then just showed up as well on some kind of platform and was like, listen, Dragon Lee, I will now accept your challenge for the North American title. And I know what happened here. I get it too. He probably thought Lee was a real dragon. He did his research and realized, it's okay, I'm not gonna be set on fire. So there was a lot to like here too, and I think that North American title match will be really good because it's proper big man versus little man. So that's gonna get an up. But for some reason, just the sheer nonsense with everything else around it, well, I'm gonna give that a down. Like, it was totally fine, and it's what I expect from NXT, but I guess I'm tired today. For some reason, it irked me. It felt a little bit like a ruse, so yeah, down. Malik Braden, Edris, and Ofe were then really sad because they don't think they're getting the opportunities, where Briley Reese kind of cartwheeled into the shot. My word, she's the happiest person ever. You know the deal, though. Even though she didn't win the Battle Royal, it doesn't matter, because you only ever lose if you don't learn. I was like, actually, that's really good advice. So clearly these three are going to be a thing because they're always hanging out. Although I tell you, they ain't big fans of her. As soon as she left, they were like, my word, she's a little bit much. When NXT continued this fallout from the Battle Royal, so once again, I just want to say thank you very much. It rewards me for watching. Because last week, Blair Davenport and Karmen Petrovic had also got into it in that thing, so they had a match. Although, poor Karmen, she basically got her ass whipped. So really was just remind you that she is higher up the ladder right now, and she smashed Petrovic in the face with that big knee before she got the 1, 2, 3. And I actually feel quite sorry for Blair, because everybody in 2024 is doing that maneuver, but she's been doing it for ages, so it's going to be like when you like a garage band, and then they play the big arenas, you're like, I liked them way back in the day, and everyone else will be like, yeah, no, you didn't. Still, this is also good, because they got Karmen more minutes on television, and she does need the experience, and she is getting better and better. Blair Davenport right now could probably be called up to the main roster, but once again, it was totally alright, and what you'd expect from NXT. Rich Holland then said that he is going to take on Gallus by himself. And I was like, Rich, there's one of you, and I know you're a big guy, and there's 3 of them, so now he too had 3 friends, and he's lost them all. Unless Sheamus has got to come back soon, could he do a one-off appearance in NXT? Maybe. I don't know. When it was time for a very angry match, because it was angry Trick Williams taking on super angry Josh Briggs. Now, as promised, Ilya Dragunov did come to ringside and he was doing commentary, and clearly we are going to do something with Briggs, because he was treated like a beast here. He turned into a transformer, and he was just running over Trick. I mean, it got so bad, even Ilya was shouting, get up, you've got to do better than this. And Judge Briggs did not take kindly to that, because he then ran at Dragunov, and my word, he totally smoked him. Now, obviously, as soon as Dragunov got back to his feet, he was super mad, so he was going to get get in the ring. But that's when Carmelo Hayes appeared from nowhere. He stopped Ilya from doing that. When in the ring, Josh was going to try and kill Trick Williams when Williams used the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, and he got the 1, 2, 3. It's like, my word, that was nuts. Even then, though, as soon as Briggs got to his feet, he just killed Trick with this lariat. And don't forget, Williams is the #1 contender, so we are doing some cooking. Williams was also still upset with Carmelo here because he had told him don't come to the ring. But you know this, Hayes. He does have a big plan, and given that Trick Williams' title shot is very soon, well, we're about to find out. I assume that Trick is going to lose the NXT Championship match too, so I guess that Ilya's next opponent is going to be Josh Briggs. Although based on this showing, why the flub not? Giving it up. Lexis King was then being an idiot because he tried to hit on Thea Hale and JC Jane, when of course in walked Riley Osborne. Thea just looked at him and it was like, Dreamweaver. Although nobody made that noise. This is because she is totally crushing on him, and the way she acted here was actually quite good. I've seen this in real life. And maybe Riley has a plan because he wants to talk to them next week to save the school. Better not be another cake save though, Riley. That's one of the worst plans in wrestling history. The No Quarter Catch crew then reveal they have a brand new rule for their matches, and it's essentially the Freebird rule. When they have a match, they can pick any combination to become a team. They're also calling it the Catch Claw, so bravo guys, you came up with the pun and you worked backwards. When of course Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes were falling out again. So if you enjoyed this friendship, well, it ain't long for this world. It all meant that we were going to finish with yet more sports entertainment because it was going to be the contract signing for the NXT Women's Championship, Lyra Valkyrie versus Roxanne Perez, and of course, who was presiding over proceedings? It was our brand new GM, Eva Rain. Eva Rain. Who's Eva Rain? Now, as they're both baby faces, they did start off by saying nice things, but then they accidentally wound the other one up, and all of a sudden, here came the barbs. Because Roxanne was all like, well, I never lost that title properly, so Lyra was like, well, oh yeah, I've replaced you now. So Perez was all like, oh yeah, well, I've got a new edgy side to me. But she didn't mean edge, he went to AEW. Ava then finally got them to sign the contract, because they wouldn't shut up, and of course they stared at each other to let you know it was super serious. And as soon as Valkyria had walked down the aisle, Tatum Paxley appeared from nowhere, and she threw Roxanne Perez through the flipping table. And then the Valkyria ran back to the ring and she was like, Tatum, why are you doing this? You're an absolute moron. And she got her so upset, Paxley started to cry. I was like, Lyra, what have you done? Do you know what's going to happen now? She's going to turn on you and your championship is in jeopardy. I mean, it really is a bad idea to make an enemy of your stalker, but at the same time, maybe somebody should be sorting out the stalker. I'm looking at you, Eva Rain. This should be mission #1. So it was proper goofy NXT stuff, and once again it felt like a soap opera. But given that I've never really seen Lyra Valkyria or Roxanne Perez in this position, once again it's a good foreshadowing about what they could do on the main roster. So yeah, I actually thought they did a good job. I want to see this match. I think it actually be damn good. Giving it up. Which, of course, brought us to the end of NXT, and it has actually become one of those shows that if you ever get annoyed at it, it's because you had your own expectations in your head. Shawn Michaels and NXT have made it very clear what they are, and it actually does speak to my sensibilities, because it's basically goofy wrestling from minute 1 to minute end with some serious matches in between. I'm a big fan of this show. Giving it up. Now, of course, make sure you do click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for Raw. We had loads to talk about there, including Cody versus CM Punk, which was amazing. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about NXT, and enjoy the week. We have so much wrestling left to come, because it never ends. WWE is going to Netflix. We ain't in Kansas anymore, Toto. Goodbye.